Hey guys, and welcome back to episode 23 of Divine FM. This week, I'm going to be talking about stepping into your power and loving unconditionally. So, this week I felt inspired to talk about this. I don't know, I've just been loving myself very much so unconditionally as of recently, and maybe I've just been getting like a better idea of what it is to love yourself unconditionally and to love others unconditionally, because me, like the queen of self-love, like still I'm learning every day what it is to love yourself and others, because a lot of observing has to be done in this process. And for someone who's so, like, I don't know, easily distracted and there's so much on my mind all the time, I struggle with this part, with the observing part and with the patience part. And that's something that I've been doing more recently, not just with others, also with myself, but like specifically with others, I've noticed a huge difference in how I'm going about certain relationships in my life, as well as how I'm treating myself and responding and reacting to things that happen in my life and how people treat me in my life, because I don't know, it's just very humbling and also validating to know that everyone is going through their own shit, and nothing is nearly as personal as your mind and your ego likes to think that it is. And so it just takes like having emotional discipline to be able to cultivate these healthy relationships in your life and to cultivate a healthy relationship with yourself. And so yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. So my first point is looking at people from the eyes of their younger selves. And I love this because it is really refreshing, I guess, to be able to be more patient with people and genuinely feel like you want to be patient with them because you're looking at them from, the eyes of like their younger self, instead of, let me give you an example. So like, let's say you're sitting in traffic and someone is like trying to cut you off, or someone is trying to like merge into your lane that you've been waiting in for a long time, and you're like, fuck you, like I don't want to let you in. But also, like this would be a good way to practice patience. Instead, looking at the car and being like, you know what, maybe they are having a rough morning like me. Maybe they're also stressed out. Maybe they're also late. Maybe they have something, like maybe they're even more late than I am, and maybe they do need to get in to this lane, so I should let them in. It's just one singular car, So that's like one way you can look at someone from like a younger version of themselves, or just like a more gentler version of them. Sorry if you can hear me rustling around. I'm like changing my clothes. But yeah, that's like one way you can go about that. Let me think of another way. Let's say you're having like a confrontation at work or something. You are not getting along with someone that you work with, and you want to maintain a healthy relationship with them still. Like you want to have a normal, healthy relationship, but also like they frustrate you, and you don't really like want to deep down have a relationship with them, but you know that you should. Next time that they like frustrate you or irritate you or say something to you that's like out of pocket, look at them as if they were like 7 years old, and just literally talk to them as if you would be talking to their 7-year-old version of themselves, because you wouldn't talk to like a 7-year-old like with irritation, or with, at least I would hope not, but you wouldn't talk to them with irritation, with anger, with rude undertones and stuff like that. Like, try to just be more patient in life with people and with yourself, and the more that you practice this, the easier it will become. And trust me, I'm not like perfect. I am so impatient, and this is something that I have to work on every single day, or else I'm never going to be able to accomplish this, because it's not easy. And I, for one, can sit here and say that it's something that I have to practice a lot, because I can be pretty rude sometimes if I'm not careful about what I'm saying. My next point is listening to listen / understand, not listening to respond. This is something that I feel like a lot of people around me do, and I hope that I don't do it. I try to actively listen to understand for the most part, unless, like, I don't know. I can't even think of a situation where I would do that, because obviously this is something that I'm, like, saying that you should do. So obviously that I would hopefully be doing that. But yeah, listening to understand. Like, whenever someone is coming to you to vent, or just honestly coming to you to tell you something that is important to them, or, you know, if you're asking someone how their day was and they're telling you how their day was, actually listening to listen, not just listening to, you know, be done with the conversation to be done with it, you know? Especially whenever you're having, like, a confrontation, an argument, a fight, or just an important conversation with someone, listening to them to genuinely understand what they're saying and conceptualize what they're saying and to understand what they're saying, and not just listening and thinking about what you're going to say in response the entire time, because that is the most frustrating thing in the world. Like, and you can tell whenever someone is listening to respond versus listening to understand because of how they respond and how quickly they respond, you know? Like, if someone respects you, they're going to listen to you with respect, and they're going to respond to you with respect because they love you and respect you, and they're not just going to try to defend themselves automatically, you know what I mean? And that also, like, comes with having emotional discipline, like, not letting your ego get in the way so much to the point where it, like, can destroy important relationships and friendships, you know, whenever you're having those important conversations or fights. And maybe just to touch on emotional discipline, I feel like a few different ways to develop that emotional discipline is, one, only giving to others what you have already given to yourself. So, like, not giving to others when you are under giving to yourself whenever you're in a state of lack, because that's going to create feelings of, like, resentment, of, you know, frustration, of irritableness, of anger, you know. Only give to others what you have already given to yourself, or just give less than what you are giving to yourself at the moment, because, you know, it's important to have balance, and to have balance, you know, we have to maintain those outside relationships as well as that relationship with ourselves. But if those people around us respect us to that point, to that level, I guess, to where they understand us whenever we're going through something, or need that extra little cushion of space for ourselves, and we're not giving as much, like, they should understand that and not, you know, question you or try to, you know, start a fight or something because you're giving a little bit less. I assume you heard I was being called downstairs. I needed to take a little pause, a little break. But yeah, I believe I was talking about emotional discipline. My next point was making choices from a full heart, or if emotions are heightened, don't make any. That also, I guess, like, coincides with the same point of whenever you know, respect people enough to not say anything to ruin your relationship with them, that takes emotional discipline, obviously. And also getting to know yourself and having that understanding of who is most important to you, what is most important to you, you know, like having a good docket of what your morals are. Do these people in my life, you know, coincide with those morals and, like, values in life? And that's whenever you decide whether or not those people are important to you and whether or not they're worth, you know, giving your energy to. So I think that's very important when it comes to emotional discipline. My last point when it comes to loving unconditionally is patience and consideration. I think this is probably, you've seen it online too. Consideration is, like, the deepest, most, just, like, it's such a cute, deep form of love to show someone that you love them, to consider. How do you even say that? To consider someone is to show someone that you love them, you know? So, like, for example, if you have a crush on someone and you're thinking of, you know, you've observed things that they need, you observed things that they like, observed things that they dislike, and you know, depending on what your love languages are, but you know, just considering people whenever you're going places. Like, let's say you're going shopping with your friends and your family or something, and you see something, you're like, oh my gosh, this person would really like that. Oh my gosh, like, or oh my gosh, this person would really need this. Like, they need this, and it's right in front of my eyeballs, and I have the money to get it for them, and I feel like they would really like it if I got it for them. You know, like things like that. Just like little pieces of consideration that show people that you love them really add up and can change people's day, like, a lot. If, you know, if they're having a bad day, for example, you never know. So I think it's always important to show your love in any moment if you get the chance. And lastly, patience. I had said patience and consideration, but patience probably is like the hardest and the most important point that I'm going to talk about. It's something that I'm currently working on, and I probably will have to work on for like a long time and forever, honestly, because to be patient is to love, you know, to really observe what someone else's needs are, obviously your own as well, but to observe like their needs and to be patient enough to like abide by them and just trust that, you know, everything that you're doing is for the best and that you're in the right place and that everything is going to work out in your favor, in their favor. I think that is also like an amazing way to show that you love unconditionally, is to be patient with people, because, you know, if someone sets a certain boundary with you, to respect that boundary is to show that you love them, obviously. And sometimes it's not easy to like abide by boundaries, depending on what it is, obviously. But I feel like the older that we get, the more common it is to, I guess, if you're like trying to attract people in your life that also have the same level of respect that you do for yourself, like you're gonna have personal boundaries you've set for yourself, and you're gonna set certain boundaries for that significant other. And I think it's a two-way street, and if both people have the same level of like love and respect for each other, then they'll respect each other's boundaries and love each other the same amount as well. Like, there won't be any like runner chaser hot and cold dynamic involved there, because, you know, patience and consideration is involved, and we're listening to understand, not listening to respond, and we're looking at each other from the eyes of our younger selves, and, you know, trying to be gentle and understanding and caring. That's all you can do whenever you're trying to love unconditionally. And, you know, you have to have a really good understanding of who you are as well as an individual, and be confident and have a good sense of self and individualism, because if you don't have that, like, how obviously are you going to give to others? So that was like the longest rant of my life. I'm just standing here looking outside the window talking because I didn't have that many points, really, like, notes to talk about, because I feel like unconditional love is just something that you do and something that you have to like kind of figure out on your own and through your own personal relationships and dynamics and stuff. And so yeah, I hope this was helpful, and I hope this was enjoyable to listen to. And yeah, I guess I'll see you guys next week on Divine FM. Bye, guys.